in an order that would be pleasing to man and to humanity. We thank you for your presence in the name of the Creator, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Hyde. Council, at this time, I ask you to examine our agenda for this meeting. Do you have any changes to the agenda? If not, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilman Mickens and a second by Councilman Green. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries. Council members, you have before you the minutes of the previous meeting of August the 3rd, 2021. Are there any corrections to these minutes? If not, do I have a motion for their approval?
So moved.
I have a
Second.
motion by Councilwoman DeChico. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Mickens. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Minutes are approved of August 3rd, 2021. Members of the City Council, you have the docket of claims for August the 17th, 2021. The total amount is $350,498.83. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Stewart. Do I have a second by Councilman Green? Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. Next on our agenda, Council, you have before you the consent agenda for items A through E. Do I have a motion to approve these items?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Mickens and a second by Councilwoman DeChico. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed? Motion carries. We're going to move into reports, proclamations, and recognitions agenda. Does anyone on the council have anything to say at this moment? If not, I would like to announce for the community to know that with the help of City Attorney Jeff Turnage, we are working on a proposal concerning a city noise ordinance that we plan to share with the council and the community very soon. I would also like to make the council and the community aware that I have been looking into so far 2 separate accounting firms that could potentially do a forensic audit for the city. What we will do is gather the information from at least 2 professional organizations. We will come back and have information for the council's review and then determine whether the city would move into a forensic audit. Council members, you have the monthly city department reports before you. I would also like to remind our citizens that these reports are also published on our city's website for your review. Council members, do you have any questions for our department heads?
I have a question.
Yes, Councilwoman DeChico?
The indictments, I don't see anything in the indictments. Can someone clarify that for me from the police department report?
Chief?
What's she talking about, the grand jury report or?
For the,
What page are you on?
let me get it. It would be it just says page 1 of 1. It's the investigators' grand jury cases. There were 12 cases in June and 13 in May, and those were presented, but there's no indictment. What does that mean? Can you explain that?
So Councilwoman DeShigo, sometime when a case is presented to the grand jury, they either bill it or no bill. So which means that if they no bill it, that means there's not sufficient evidence to take it to trial. And so that's what happened in some cases. Sometimes the witness will recant their story, or sometimes it's just not enough evidence. And generally, that's published by circuit court. They'll announce the cases that they bill, that they give a true bill, and they would announce the ones that they no bill. But generally, they don't give a reason. They'll contact the agency and let us know why.
Thank you.
Mayor, if you would, I want to, Councilman Jones had asked me to give an idea of how many tickets are being
Yes.
taken. So in July, we wrote 251 tickets. When I found out that our tickets are being retired to the file, and some of them are being retired to the file, i.e. if someone had no driver's license or had no insurance, if they'll bring it to the court, it may be dismissed. But then again, there are some, now I'll have to break down on what tickets are being individually dismissed by the officers. But again, as you can see, last month we wrote 313, and this month, June, this month we went down to 251. So I've talked to my staff about increasing the tickets again. With all the complaints I'm receiving from the various councilmen, there are plenty of tickets out there to be written, and we're going to start enforcing it.
Just want to make sure that the ones that are being written are being paid, because every time an officer stops somebody, they're putting their life in danger.
That's correct.
So for them to do that and then the ticket is dismissed when they get up here, then that's what I'm having a problem with.
Yes, sir.
So that's what we're looking. So as soon as you can get that information on how many is being dismissed,
By the officer specifically. Or do
by
you
the
want?
officer, or how many being asked to be dismissed by officers, by other people, you know.
Right, okay. And then do you want the ones that were retired to the file because like I say, if they got a ticket for no license and they produced a license?
Yeah,
Okay.
if you can break it
Yes, sir,
down.
we can break it down. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Any other questions? One of the comments I also wanted to add before we move forward is I wanted to make sure, and I don't know if everyone knows, but the Board of Supervisors voted yesterday to help with 4 trucks and to assist with brush pickup in the city. And we really appreciate their willingness to help Public Works get caught up on the really, there's a lot of work out there for Public Works, and having their help to help them get caught up will make a tremendous difference for the city. And so I wanted to make sure we thank the Board of Supervisors for their support.
Mayor Goskin, I have a question. Is there any monetary exchange between the city and the county for helping with this overload that we have?
Is there a formal exchange?
Will there be, do we
We
owe
have
them
not
money?
written one. Jeff, do you think they would be
Well,
in
not
need?
so much a form of exchange, but will we have to pay them if they stop what they're doing and help assist us with this work?
No. In fact, one of the reasons that they are doing this is because I visited with them and made a general reminder that the citizens of Columbus are also residents of Lowndes County. And we, pay taxes to the Lowndes County as well. So no, there's no fee along with this.
Okay.
And we also did not have any formal agreement with it. I think they're gonna start later this week. Is that correct, Mark? And then we're gonna see how that goes. It's my understanding that the 4 trucks that they use, we will have one person from the city riding with each county employee to do the work. So I think it's gonna be great for the city. Any other questions for any of the department heads? If not, I'd like to now call on Chief Martin Andrews of our fire department for the swearing in of a fire and rescue firefighter. Are y'all ready? Will you raise your right hands? I state your name.
I, Clayton Aldridge,
Do solemnly swear to faithfully execute
solemnly swear to faithfully execute
my duties as a member of the Columbus Fire and Rescue.
my duties as a member of
Columbus Fire,
and Rescue.
right. And to do so with honor,
Do so with honor,
integrity,
integrity,
dedication,
dedication,
and diligence.
and diligence.
To support the Constitution
To support the Constitution
and laws of the United States of America,
and laws of the United States of America,
the Constitution
the Constitution,
and laws of the State of Mississippi,
laws of the State of Mississippi,
the Charter and ordinances of the City of Columbus,
Charter and ordinances of the City of Columbus,
and the rules and policies
the rules and policies
of the Columbus Fire and Rescue,
of Columbus Fire and Rescue,
to defend and protect our citizens
to defend and protect our citizens
and their property,
and their property,
and to the best of my ability,
and to the best of my ability,
from fire and all manner of harm,
fire and all manner of harm,
for which my training and skills may allow,
which my training and skills may allow.
Good. To conduct myself at all times
To conduct myself at all times
in an honorable manner,
in an honorable manner,
befitting the trust and confidence placed in me,
fitting the trust and confidence
placed in me
placed in me
by those I serve
by those I serve
and those I serve beside,
and those I serve beside,
and, we're almost finished, to faithfully endeavor to uphold
faithfully and endeavor to uphold
the dignity of the fire service
the dignity of the fire service,
in memory to all who have served
memories to all those who have served
before me and with respect for those yet to serve.
before me and all those,
And with respect for those yet to serve.
and with respect to those yet to serve.
Very good. That's a long swearing in. Thank you. Congratulations.
No, I know that Councilman Brooks was out there, that's why I asked.
Can I bring him in?
You get ready.
Yeah.
When you get ready.
I can get ready.
At this time, can we have our financial report?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Financial report for the month of July. City finances for the month of July were a combined total of $20,720,133.49, with general fund having $16,169,038.14, and special revenue having $4,551,095.35. General fund operating cash for the month of July were $3,453,137.93. Prior year was $2,731,845.92. This is $721,322.01 more than July of 2020. Sales tax collection for the month is $943,546.25. This is $59,010, 14 cents more than prior year tax collection. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. Do we have any questions for her, council members?
Yeah, just to ask you, Ms. Vaughn, I noticed you said there was a $700 different Did you say, 700,000 between last year and this year for his general fund? Could you, tell the council what caused it, why was the increase?
The 700,000 increase, we've cut back on spending, well, we have less spending now. Last year, we had what?
The insurance,
What insurance?
so they cut off all of the medical.
That's one of them, that we've saved from. We don't pay the medical
Pay no more.
insurance. Yeah. And, we're no longer paying for the fire, the new building of the fire, the Sim Scott. A lot of that has been cut out, so,
Okay.
now we're, on the increase. Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. At this time, I would like to recognize Mark Alexander, Interim Chief Operating Officer, for the board vacancies.
Good evening. The first board that we have is the Golden Triangle Development Link Board. This is a 2-year term. We have 2 applicants, Mr. Quincy Harris and Mr. Colin Krieger.
Do I have a motion to fill the vacancy on the Golden Triangle Development Link Board?
Mayor,
I make a
we
motion for it.
tabled that until next time. When we tabled that for the last board appointments, we got quite a few,
More applicants. And this is a really important position. And I don't know, did we advertise this anywhere that these were open?
It's been advertised
Yes.
several times.
I mean, part of the issue with this is that, when I came to City Hall, we had a list of all the boards and the board vacancies or upcoming vacancies. This was not on there. So if you look at it, it's a pretty short turnaround from when we had it, from when we advertised it and put it on there. And the only reason I knew about it is just from speaking with somebody at the link. If you look also, the term expires 9/30, and we're appointing it now. The reason is that because we turn our pick into Lowndes County, and then they in turn submit their 3 and our 1 to the link board. If you wanted to table it, I don't know if you get a second to table it. We talked with the mayor and Jeff, and we met about a possible bond refunding special called meeting for next week. So, there would be an opportunity to bring it up again.
May I move to table it until our next meeting next week?
Sure. We have a motion to table the appointment to the Development Link Board until the special call meeting for next week.
Second.
We have a second by Councilman Mickens and by Councilman Green. Any discussion?
I make a substitute motion that we appoint Colin Krieger.
We have a substitute motion to appoint Colin Krieger at this time. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Councilman Stewart.
Make a substitute motion that we appoint Quincy Harris.
I have a substitute motion that we appoint Quincy Harris at this time. Do I have a second?
Man, y'all confusing me. I'll second that. I want to see where this is going.
We have a second for Quincy Harris. Any discussion? One thing that I would say at this point in the discussion is that I think what Mark was trying to explain earlier was that a few years ago, the city cut their ties with the link for a year. And on that list that he's talking about, I looked at that as well, and it did state on there that this position no longer existed. And I think that's where some confusion came in and why it was delayed in putting it out for notification. And it was a quick turnaround. So I don't think that the decision to try to table this is a reflection on either of the candidates, but just an idea of trying to get more people in for the position, which we have stated that we want to try to get as many people involved and make sure as many people as possible have an opportunity to do that. So that's my discussion here, but now, help me, Jeff, we are on the second substitute motion for Quincy Harris, correct?
That's correct,
That
Mayor.
legal?
So you had two substitutes, you take them in the reverse order. The last one made was for Quincy Harris. You take a vote on that. If he's gets the majority of the votes, then he's it. If he doesn't, then you go up the chain backwards.
So we have a second to vote on Quincy Harris to fill the position on the link board. We have a second, and that was my discussion on the matter. All in favor for Quincy, please raise your right hand. We have two. So this motion fails. Now we have a substitute motion for Colin Krieger. Do we have a second? Yeah, we had a second. Who was the second for Colin Krieger?
I was.
Ethel Stewart. Thank you, Stewart. All in favor, raise your right hand. We have a vote of two. This one fails.
Back to the original.
So now we need to go back to take a vote on tabling, correct? We have a motion from Councilwoman DeChico, seconded by,
I'm gonna take my, original motion, I wanna take it off the table, and I'll vote for Quincy, so that'll give me 3.
No. Let's go. Let's go.
Well, I make a substitute motion.
Ain't no more substitute motion, Doc.
You
We
not the
on this
city-
right
you're
now.
not the
Yes,
city
we
attorney.
can.
The city attorney can answer.
Ain't no more, Jeff.
Well, that's right. I mean, the motion for Quincy Harris failed 2-4, and then the motion for Colin Krieger failed 2-4. So now it would be time to take up the table motion. And if it
Now, what about the other ones that haven't voted, though? They don't have to vote?
They vote now on the
Either way,
table.
Well,
by not voting, they voted no.
the mayor did not call for the no votes. We could, on technicality, I guess you could ask for that.
On the technicality.
Well,
If you want me to go back, Councilman Jones, and ask the people who voted no on Krieger and Mr. Krieger and Mr. Harris, I can ask them to raise their hand and
Yeah,
no.
if they're voting no, yeah.
Those who voted no for Mr. Krieger, please raise your hands, right hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. All who voted no against Mr. Harris, please raise your hands, right hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the 4. Now, so we have a motion to table this until the next special meeting. We have a motion and we have a second for that.
yes, sir.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3. And I'll break the tie to do that. Is that what we need?
Unless you want to call for the no votes on that one too, to make sure somebody's not trying to abstain.
Yeah, that'll be fine. No
Okay.
vote.
Can I see a raise of right hands for those who voted no? Do we have those 3 recorded? Great, thank you.
So you say from a legal standpoint, we could not put that back in a motion for bringing one of those people back up?
Well, not right now because the council just voted to table. So I guess you could vote to bring it back off the table, and then if you have the votes to do that, then you could entertain an appointment. But right now, it's tabled.
Well, I make a motion that we bring it back off the table.
We have a motion from Councilman Beard that we bring the motion to add, to vote tonight to add a member to the link board,
So moved. I mean,
Second.
Second, I'm sorry.
seconded by Councilman Jones. Any discussion? All in favor of bringing it back to discussion tonight for a vote, please raise your right hand. We have 3 yes votes. All voting against bringing it back up, please raise your right hand. We have 3 votes again, which requires the mayor to vote, and I will vote in to table this for tonight. Anything else,
Wow.
Mr. Alexander?
That was something. So we will re-advertise all of the 2 candidate applicants that were on there tonight will obviously be eligible for
Yes.
next week when we come back up. There's nothing precludes them. The remaining are just the ones that are coming up. We have the same one. We have an applicant for the airport board is Mr. Dennis Irby. The redevelopment board will do at our next regularly scheduled meeting, which we have one applicant in Martha Lee Porter, and we have the Historic Preservation Commission, of which we have no applicants at this time. That's it.
So what I would say tonight is that we will be advertising these. We will try to get them out on social media to get more names in. Obviously, there are not many applicants there. I will state again that the reason for tabling this is not a reflection on Mr. Harris or Mr. Krieger. I'm sure both of them are fine candidates for the position. The idea is to just give an opportunity to have more people in the discussion like we've done before. Thank you, Mark.
Well, we have one more.
Oh, we do?
Mayor.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We'll continue, please.
Well, we have citizens input, which is Mr. Xavier Fairley, who was on the
Yes.
derelict property docket. I don't know if he is on Zoom or if he's in the audience. Let's see if he's out there. I spoke with him, and he did plan to attend.
Great, thank you.
So
We'll give him 1 second. Joe's going to check to see if he's
somebody's talking. Hey, hold on, Sasha. Joe just left the building. We'll see if we can work some technology. Sasha was trying to talk on the TV.
He is not in the building, so we're going to try to see if we can pull him up on Zoom.
Go ahead, Sasha.
Mr. Alexander? Mr. Fairley?
He's not on there, Mayor.
He's not there?
No, sir.
Ask her if she was trying to say something.
Sasha?
Sasha, can you hear us? She said she sees his number there. Bear with us while we're trying to work through some technical difficulties here. We want to make sure we give Mr. Fairley an opportunity to speak.
Mr. Fairley, are you there, sir? If you are, you have to hit unmute on your phone.
Mr. Fairley, if you're on your phone, you have to hit unmute so we can hear you.
I can see him, but I can't unmute him. He has to do it himself.
Oh, good.
There he is.
Thank you, Mr. Fairley. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Taylor. See, I've called him Alexander Fairley. Mr. Taylor?
That's another one we got.
But so we are looking for Mr. Fairley. Are we going to move forward with Mr. Taylor?
Well, he's later in the agenda.
I think Mr. Fairley, whether he's not on there or not, but he wanted an extension. I am on. We voted. Is he there? He's here now, sir. Oh, he's there? Okay.
I'm here too.
Mr. Fairley?
All right. Yes.
Yeah,
We would like to hear from Mr.
Can you hear
Xavier Fairley, please, if you're there.
yes, sir, I am here.
Very good.
Finally.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir. I apologize to the mayor and to the council for not attending the last council meeting. I did get the notice, and I did proceed to clean that property up, and the meeting just escaped me.
That's okay.
And as soon as I realized, I went in to see Miss James, and since talked to Mr. Alexander, and I'm coming before you tonight just asking you for some more time. And the reason is this: every contractor around is backed up. I have started working on my properties. Had roofs done on 21st Avenue last week. They're working on 5th Avenue this week, and the plan is to move to the Railroad Street property. I certainly am going to do the roof and get the 614 property back in shape as quickly as I can. And on the 612 property, I'm waiting on the contractor to get by and let me know what the best course of action is going to be. Right now, everybody is pretty much backed up, and I'm trying to move forward just as quickly as I can.
Mr. Fairley, so the request then is for the council to rescind the prior order from the last meeting to immediately abate and to grant you additional time. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, sir. I should have some extensive things done within the next 90 days.
So move.
We have a motion to give Mr. Fairley an extra 90 days. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilwoman Stewart. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Fairley. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Council members, next we have our policy agenda with the first item in reference to mask mandate. Councilwoman Stewart, before you begin, I believe we have Amy Bogue, who is joining us by Zoom to provide any medical perspective if questions are asked. With that being said, Councilwoman Stewart, the floor is yours.
Good evening. I wanted to add this to the agenda. Right now in Mississippi, we have a crisis, and we have a crisis booming coming to Columbus. In Mississippi, the last person on the AIDS that died was a 13-year-old girl. Now, when we had COVID before, we had business where employees got sick, the citizen got sick. We want to try and move ahead and get mask mandate. We don't want to see business closed down again. I know everyone is upset, don't want to wear a mask, in a business, but can you imagine if you had a waitress that was waiting on a table? Normally they wait on 10 or 12 tables a day. And if that waitress have COVID and she spread it to that many people and they get in the community, we're gonna have a problem. So I'm not saying we do mask mandate to upset people, but if we can put masks on before we get it out of control and have the closed business, that's the last thing I want to see happen. And when you look at all of the signs and medical reports, everybody encouraged vaccination, wear a mask. Now, it's obvious there's only 4 things that work against this COVID: social distance, sanitizing, wearing a mask, and vaccine. People write, we can't make you take a vaccine, but if you don't want to wear a mask, you don't want to take a vaccine, then you stay home. It's just not possible to live your life in your home. And if you're going to go out and mix with the rest of the population, it is your responsibility to do something to protect them. And as elected officials, it is our responsibility to be concerned about the constituents here in this county. So I would like to see the mask mandate be imposed so we don't get things where business have to be closed again.
Councilwoman Stewart, I know that there have been some other cities because of the accelerated spread of the Delta variant, like Gulfport, Long Beach, Moss Point, and Gaucher, have brought the mask required inside city buildings. And I believe the city of Jackson still has its mask mandate from the original mandate they had in place. I think the question would be, and I know that the Board of Supervisors voted yesterday to require masks inside of county buildings. Is your motion to require a mask mandate throughout the city, even businesses, or just in city owned buildings? And
Throughout the city and business, because people move from the county to the city throughout the neighborhoods and business. So it should be out throughout city business.
I think it's also important that while we're having this discussion would be the ability to mandate this or hold people accountable for not wearing their mask. Can you speak to that, Jeff, please?
Well, I mean, it'd be a major burden, I'm sure Chief Shelton can say, to not only make sure people are wearing it, but wearing it correctly. And we've been through it before, and we're still in the process of defending one claim. I am not saying we should be trepidatious about passing something just because of the threat of a lawsuit, because I think you have the police powers to implement reasonable health, safety, and welfare regulations. But we got a lot of other crime going on other than mass crimes, and I just don't know. Chief, you could probably speak to it better than I could.
The lawsuit you're referring to is the one where we shut the business down, not about mask, or do we have another one on?
No, that's true. It was about a business that we shut down temporarily, the Golden Glow, I think was the name of it, but, you know.
But it wasn't about the mask.
That's true. And the mask is a lot different because, except for certain businesses, probably it'd be very difficult to prove that the mask affected their bottom line.
It would be hard for the Columbus Police Department to enforce that mandate fully. The last time when we had this, we were short officers. So by the time we responded to a call about a mask, the person was already gone. And again, it was with the amount of crime that we're seeing here, with all the things that we have to do, it would be very taxing. We had to call people in on overtime to respond to emergency calls because we're dealing with mass calls. And again, the police department work for the city of Columbus. We have to do what you ask us to do, but it would be taxing on us, and it would probably, it would be taxing on the police department, and we wouldn't be able to respond to other calls, essential calls that we really need to respond to.
Thank you, Chief. Do we have any questions for the Chief, please, here?
So we wasn't able to respond to calls the last time?
Yes, sir. What was happening is we were short then. We're getting back up, but we didn't have enough officers to respond to the complaints. So that a mask violation is not an emergency call. So if I got an accident, a disturbance in progress, that's a priority call. And by the time the officer get through with that primary call and then go to answer a mask violation, they're gone.
But we can, it would be a little easier if we require businesses to have masks so that they don't infect people that's coming in if they have employees, just like she mentioned with a waitress,
So again, that's gonna put us in that situation because then when the business call, we gotta call to make sure the business is enforcing it. So again, that's still taking that officer off a priority call to go and handle that issue. And then what if the business does not cooperate and they have 5 or 6 customers in there that are not wearing masks?
Well, what would be the difference if we made it, city buildings? You would still have to do the same thing, right?
Again, that would be a little bit easier because that's city property. And again,
But I'm saying it still would take an officer to come and do it, though.
absolutely, it would.
So what would be the difference?
Again, I work for the city of Columbus and I do what you ask me to do.
Be a lot less buildings to
Right.
have complaints.
You guys are assuming that no one will comply. This is not new. We just went through this. A lot of these businesses understand if there's a COVID outbreak, they would have to close their doors. And I know it would be taxing on the police department, but at the same time, people's safety is important. We're trying to save lives here. This COVID is important to contain as much as possible. So we all have to play our part in it. Yes, it would be taxing on the police department, but do we not try and do it because it's going to be an overburden on the police department? Or do we do it because we know how devastating it would be to citizens and families?
Again, I work for the city of Columbus, and I do what you asked me to do.
Thank you, Chief. Jeff, I think you did some research on what other municipalities are doing. Do we know of any that are, that have put them back in place, how they're handling if someone is in violation?
I called Chris Latimer that represents City of Starkville, and I called Pope Millette that represents Oxford, and I called Nick Manley that represents South Haven, and they all have different things. Starkville, the mayor made a order as the chief executive of the city that employees who are unvaccinated will be required to wear a mask in city buildings and if they're in a city vehicle in the company of another person. And that's the extent of their action. My understanding is it's not going to be on the agenda tonight, and at least the last time when I talked to him yesterday, it wasn't. Pope Millette said that in Oxford they have implemented a mask mandate, which is applicable only in municipal facilities, including recreation facilities, for all people, regardless whether they're vaccinated or not vaccinated, but that they're not going to try to regulate a business because they just ran into so much difficulty with interpreting what's essential business and what's not, and they just don't have a taste for going there because of the governor's doing away with all of the restrictions. And then South Haven said they're just wide open. So you got everything across the board. South Haven said, the lawyer said he thought there'd be a revolt if they tried to make people wear masks. So I don't know. It's a difficult call what to do, and it's certainly, there's valid reasons for requiring it, but I can see where it's just too darn hard. It's up to y'all. I'm like the chief, if y'all think you want to do it, I think we could do it under the police powers.
And I believe that when the Board of Supervisors made their call yesterday, they are requiring it, but they're not enforcing it. Is that correct? I mean, if someone breaks they don't wear it, they're not.
I believe Supervisor Brooks is in the back. I'm not sure the answer to that myself, Mayor. I know that they had some.
Is that right?
I say he's outside, but I think they put it in mandate.
He's in the back.
Supervisor Brooks, is that correct? Did you hear him?
We only dealt with the public buildings. All employees are expected to, I'm good, all employees are expected to wear a mask during duty hours. If you come into a public building, you're expected to wear a mask while you're in there. If you come into the courthouse, you don't have a mask, the bailiff will give you a mask. So as long as you're in a public building doing business, that's fine. But as far as the community and other things, we didn't deal with that.
If someone is in the building and they're not wearing a mask, will the sheriff's department be called, or what was the determination on that? How are you going to enforce it?
Well, that's a good question. We didn't discuss that. I'm certain that in the courthouse, where we do have bailiffs, that before you can come in, you've got to have a mask. Now, if you go down to the tax office where there is no law enforcement, I don't know what they're going to do. We really didn't take that. If you go to Justice Court, they have a police officer down there, but these are police officers that work there from 8 to 5. Mm-hmm. And so we have the option of not letting someone in, but if you go in the tax office where there is no law enforcement, I doubt seriously they would say, don't come in if we're not serve you.
Okay, thank you. I've been thinking about this too in preparation for tonight, and I completely understand while with the Delta variant spread and the numbers, and Councilwoman Stewart referenced the 13-year-old that passed away in Mississippi yesterday from this. It is an extremely serious issue, and there are a lot of different opinions in our community on it. What I would say is for the council, if we're going to set a mandate like this, we need to be very specific in how we're going to word the mandate, whether it's going to be citywide or is it going to be just for city buildings. I also think the enforcement part of it needs to be very clear, because every ordinance that I've read from other cities in Mississippi, they're setting these, the new ones have strictly been in city buildings, and they have said, from my research, that they're doing it to encourage people to wear their mask, but they're not enforcing it. There's really no teeth in it. And then, again, if we're going to set this, would we have to determine if we're going to arrest somebody, what that fine would be, for not wearing a mask? Was that set before?
Yes, we had a monetary fine. I don't remember if it's $500 or $1,000, $300.
May I move that we table this until we can have further discussion, get with Mr. Turnage and Ms. Stewart and everybody in and have a meeting to see exactly what we can put on the table, what we can do and what we cannot do. Let's be fair, because like Attorney said, we don't need no more lawsuit. But what Councilwoman Stewart is saying, I agree with her 150%. But we want to make sure that we dot all our I's and cross all our T's. If that's okay with you, let's sit down and talk about this, what we can do with the policy, get with the chief and put everything into play and try to have something ready, I would say before the next council meeting.
I make a substitute motion that we go ahead and approve what she's saying for city buildings, and then we sit down and discuss what's going on for the citywide, but we can go ahead and start with city buildings.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a substitute motion from Councilman Beard that we set a mandate tonight strictly for mask wearing in city businesses and buildings, which would be, City Hall, any building that the city owns, including the Trotter. And then we have a second from Councilman Jones. Is that correct?
Correct.
Any discussion? Oh, and then also that we would discuss a citywide ordinance at a different time, correct?
And how far out will we discuss this city ordinance about the?
Can we do it next week since we brought it up for the other stuff?
We're going to have a special call meeting next week for the bond issue and then for the issue of the link appointment. We could do it then.
I would prefer that would be soon enough. That way we don't have to continue to wait because the virus is not waiting.
Yes, ma'am. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? The motion passes 4-2.
Now, that was for, make sure we got this motion right, for city
Yes.
building.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Until we have a further discussion.
Yeah. The motion was that we bring back the mask mandate for city buildings only at this time.
And we strongly encourage all citizens to wear a mask if necessary.
Yes, that was Councilman Jones saying, and I agree that we encourage our citizens to wear a mask and be safe, and to also talk to your physicians and other people who've had the vaccine, because this is a very serious virus that we're dealing with.
I also heard a good point from the county yesterday that made sense to me. I heard someone said that if a person come down with COVID that haven't taken the test, that they would not pay their insurance or give them time off. Huh? No, the vaccine, if they haven't taken the vaccine. And I'd like for that to be discussed next week also with the council and mayor. Because you have people that haven't taken the shot and they're coming in around people that have. And
What he's talking about is sick leave, how that would be handled for someone who became sick, even if they had the vaccine, and those who became sick and they had not
Hadn't
taken
had
the
the
vaccine.
vaccine.
Yeah.
Now, is that information coming from the insurance carrier? Have anyone verified this information?
That's the county supervisor set a policy to allow somebody who has not had who has had the vaccine to have.
That's at the local level.
To have, yes, ma'am.
At the
that's
local
right.
level, yes, ma'am.
And one thing I think you should consider between now and next week when you talk about that is there's a pro and con, because if you tell somebody you hadn't had the vaccine and you're sick with COVID, we're not going to pay your leave, there creates a temptation to come back to work sick, you know. So I'm not saying what you ought to do, but it's a concern you ought to weigh.
My question is illegal. Can you say that if somebody has a vaccine, you get paid leave, the other one doesn't?
Well, I would guess that you probably could, because it's a race neutral deal. It's sex neutral. It's safety policy, and I think some employers are absolutely requiring the vaccine. So some employers are paying people to get the vaccine. So I think you could pay people extra benefits who've been vaccinated over those who haven't. That'd be my opinion.
And I'll just end by saying this, if we will, before we move on to the next one, that this is a very, a topic that can be very political. And I think we need to try to avoid that at all costs. I think we see what issues that have caused in the past, and try to be respectful to everybody and their opinions. And let's focus on the science that is out there and the data. And my biggest concern is where I'm concerned for everybody. This one concerns me even more because of the children that can be affected by it. And these kids are going back to school. And so I think we need to all, take our time to really research these issues and try to make the best decision for all of our citizens, especially the children. Okay, we're going to move on at this point.
Could I ask one more thing?
Oh, sure.
Before we move? I believe you had an expert on the line. Did you want to hear from that?
Well, I think
she fell off? Okay.
Well, she had another appointment. We had her from 5 to 5:30.
Thank you very much.
But we will try to have some people available at the next meeting as well. Okay. We need to move on and discuss approved recommendations from the August 9th, 2021 Planning Commission meeting. Mr. Weigel or Kenny, are you there? Good evening.
Consideration this evening, use request 21-07 on behalf of Jill Lehrkamp, 92 Alabama Street, property zone C3 Highway Commercial. The request is to establish a farmer's market and food truck court. The recommendations from the commission were, after reviewing the site and hearing no objection from property owners in the immediate vicinity, the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the request on a temporary basis and discussed the possible adoption of food truck ordinance in the near future.
Do we have any questions or discussion? Do I have a motion to approve? I have a motion from Councilman Jones. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Councilwoman Stewart. Any discussion?
Yeah, I think on the food truck thing, we still working on
Policy?
a policy for that, so they would have to fall in line with that if they were to do some type of food truck.
That's right.
Mr. Wiggle,
Yes, sir.
you said temporary.
Yeah,
Is there
temporary
any timetable put on what temporary is?
until such time that, and we are working on a food truck ordinance, we, meaning myself, and the planning commission members. I worked on it considerably amount of time just today. The temporary basis is until the city adopts a food truck ordinance, and Ms. Lehrkamp is on the line if you have any questions for her. Until the city adopts a food truck ordinance, thereby at that time, her operation would have to abide by those regulations. One of the reasons that the commission voted to approve is this property is not suitable to be built on, because it's located well below the base flood elevation, and it's a considerable distance from any brick and mortar restaurant. And once again, the owner would have to comply with food truck ordinance once the city adopts one.
Any other questions? Is there anyone here that is opposed to this request in the audience? So we have a second. All in favor, please raise your right hands. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. We need to discuss and approve the request to hire one police officer contingent upon a successful drug screen and pre-employment physical.
So move.
We have a motion by Councilman Beard. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Green. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. We need to discuss or approve a request to hire one maintenance technician in the Recreation Department contingent upon successful completion of pre-employment medical exam and drug screen.
So move.
I have a motion by Councilman Beard and a second by Councilman Jones. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Discuss, approve the derelict property docket.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. You have a number of cases for you tonight. Two of those have been abated by the owner, so we'll just start with those if we could. The first is of those is case number 21-0247, Rodney J. Taylor and Joyce M. Taylor, 96 12th Avenue North. Rodney J. Taylor and Joyce M. Taylor. Rodney J. Taylor, Joyce M. Taylor. I assume they're not here. Ms. Jones, have you heard from them? Ms.
Mr.
James?
Taylor, he's on the line.
Yes.
Okay.
He's actually on the line for case 21-0247 and case 21-0248.
Okay, very good. I understand Mr. Taylor has remediated the vegetative growth issue in case number 0247. Is that right, Ms. James?
That's correct.
So you would be seeking an order of reentry according to 21-1911 Mississippi Code?
That's correct.
Mr. Taylor, do you understand what that is about?
Yes, sir. Ms. James and I talked about that today, and I've got to keep the property maintained and keep the grass cut. So yes, I'm aware of that.
Okay, and the next case with Mr. Taylor is 21-0248, and I believe the issue there, Mr. Taylor and Ms. James, is you have a burned mobile home or trailer on the property that's been there for a long time, and it hasn't been remediated by Mr. Taylor. So, Ms. James, do you have a recommendation before we hear from Mr. Taylor?
Yes, sir. My recommendation is immediate abatement and enter a proposed order for reentry under the section 2119 of the Mississippi Code.
Okay. And Mr. Taylor, what's your position about the burned structure?
Well, what I'm asking for is, I would like to have an extension on that. If I could do that, I'm trying to get somebody to remove that structure from the property there. I've talked with Kenny Weagle about it and Ms. James about it, and I'm working on trying to get someone in line to get that thing removed out of there.
Ms. James, can you say how long the trailer has been there burned?
Well, I've been going back with this case as far as back to 2018, and we've had a number of complaints regarding the property and that burned structure alone. So as I explained to him, the property has to be abated. That structure has to be demoed. It has to come down, and he do understand that. So that's why my recommendation is immediate abatement.
I believe one of our council members asked, why has he not been summoned before today on a 2018 structure?
The 2018, I was not
I couldn't really hear that, but I think the answer was you wrote him up and he said he would do something and then it didn't happen?
Right, and that's why I brought it before the council this time.
How long ago was it when you said you spoke with him?
I spoke with him back in, I think it was, 2020.
Mr. Taylor, you remember that conversation?
Last year.
It was last year when I spoke with him about the burn
Yeah, I
structure.
think it was last year, and at that time, I did have somebody that was in there removing the structure. We've gotten half of the structure removed. I've got the two front porches, the front and the back porch yet to remove and take it down. And then I've got, I guess, maybe a third of the frame left to get removed out of there. I did tell Miss James today that I was planning on getting somebody in there. I've been trying to get somebody in there for some time to get the remaining portion of it out of there. I had talked to her last year about it, and I did have somebody at that time that was working on it. And we did, they got, like I said, half of the burnt structure down, and what you're seeing there now is the front and back porch wood structure that I intend on taking a chainsaw and cutting up and dropping them down here in the next couple of weeks. I work out of town. I currently am in Birmingham, Alabama, and I'm out of town 5 nights a week. I leave out on Sunday evening and I get back in on Friday evening. So I did tell Kenny and Miss James after I was aware of this, because I don't get any of the mail. They're still sending the letter to my old address, and I live in Caledonia now, which Miss James now has my new current address, where I could have, taken care of this and eliminated it a lot sooner had I gotten the letter and the notice prior to all this.
Okay, so Mr. Taylor, if you were granted more time, how much time are you asking?
I'm sorry?
If you were granted more time, how much time are you asking?
I would ask for 45 to 60 days. I get a day and a half a week home. I'm a construction superintendent. Kenny, like I said, Kenny has known me for a lot of years. I've done a lot of work around Columbus area and everything that way. And I'm now a traveling superintendent, so I don't have a whole lot of time at home, but I do intend on getting that stuff removed.
So with you stating that you don't have enough time in Columbus, would you like for the city to go ahead and handle it and you just pay the city?
No, I'll go ahead and do it. I know enough people that I can get somebody in there, but everybody, as you know right now, as far as contractors and stuff, that they're covered up and wide open. There's a lot of work going on right now, and that's the problem I'm running into is getting somebody else over there. And if I don't have any luck with that, I will move my backhoe that's out of my place in Caledonia, and I will pull it down myself. So
I would like to make a motion that we give him 45 days to get this place cleaned up and taken.
That's okay, I second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilwoman Stewart that we give him 45 days to get this situation cleaned up. We have a second from Councilwoman DeChico.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Before you vote? Just so the minutes are clear, at the end of the 45-day period, if it's not remediated, the city is to remediate. Is that correct?
The city,
The city?
Yes.
That's what I mean, yeah.
That's correct.
because it's been since 2018.
Yes, ma'am, I agree. I just wanted to make sure. Mr. Taylor, if the council votes to approve this, they'll give you 45 days, and at the end of 45 days, if it hadn't been taken care of, the city will proceed to do it. If they vote,
understand.
if they vote in favor of that.
Is everybody clear on the motion?
Now, the next question is, the city can we make sure that they do it on the 46th day? Mr. Casey?
No.
What did you say, Counselor?
On the 46th day, we want to get this issue resolved, and that's for future issues as well, because we've been real laxed with this, so we need to start picking it up. And if we up here, we gotta be more serious as well. So we need to, on the 46th day, we need to have some type of, if this is not resolved.
Yes, sir, we can do our best.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you for attending, Mr. Taylor. We had a couple of other requests for more time. I think that one would be, the first one of those is case number 20-0126, James W. Trim Estate. I believe Ms. Trim is here or on the line. I'm not sure which. Look, huh? I can't hear you, Pat. What now? Oh, they didn't vote? Did the council not vote
On this one, yes.
on Taylor?
Yeah, we did.
On the remediated one.
Or immediate abatement on the first one that you called on.
Oh, okay.
0247.
Yeah, so the request for case number 21-0247 that I called at first, the property's been remediated, so we need an order of reentry.
We have a motion by Councilman Beard and a second by Councilman Jones. Any discussion? Is everybody clear what we're voting on here?
Yes.
All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. All right, Ms. Trim. I believe you're here on case number 20-0126, 104 Lux Palala Drive. We have, our information is a dilapidated structure.
Yes, sir.
And we understand you had a loss in the family. I'm sorry for your loss. And you're asking for additional time, is that correct?
Yeah, because the lady told me today the only way to get a permit is I've got to find the deed to the property, his death certificate, our marriage license, and my daughter's license, which is not, I'm just gonna do that, and some, whatever else I need to get done. Miss Pat knew my husband.
Would 45 days be adequate for you, ma'am?
Yeah, as long as I can get the permit and get everything going, but it shouldn't take long to take it down.
I make a motion that we give you 60 days. It is off the road. Get you enough time to get yourself together and get it together.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Beard and a second by Councilman Green. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously.
Thank you for coming, Ms. Trim.
Sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Mhm.
The next case where we're at, the defendant is asking for an enlargement is case number 21-0220, Charlene G. Walton, 1818 6th Avenue North. Charlene G. Walton, Charlene G. Walton. Ms. James, oh, she's coming? Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
Are you Charlene Watson?
Charlene Walton.
Walton, I'm sorry. We have that you have overgrowth of vegetation and property code violations on this property, 1818 6th Avenue North. Do you agree with that?
I've had the yard taken care of, and I've had a tarp put on where I had a tree fell on the roof. But came to us for an extension because she was saying some other things needed to be done to the house.
Ms. James, I believe Ms. Walton said that she's taken care of the vegetative growth and is in the process of working on the house from a tree that fell on it. Do you agree with that?
Yes, she did mow the lawn, and when I spoke with her in the past, from my understanding, she was either her plans was to repair the property. I'm thinking she was gonna find someone to buy it. Weren't you, Miss Walton?
Yes, I want to sell it.
Okay,
Okay.
so you're asking for more time, Ms. Walton. How much time do you need?
Can I get 60 days?
Typically, we do 45, although tonight we've done more than that a couple of times, so. I would suggest 45, and if you've made substantial progress, but you're not quite done, then you ask Ms. James for some more time, and the council would then have a right to review that.
Do we have a motion?
I motion that we
I have a
grant.
question too. Why are we going back on her on 45 and we passed 60 over here?
We
What's the
did
problem
90
with
for
that?
another guy too, so I don't know.
So then if she wants 60, give her 60.
Fine with me,
You
give her
don't have to
90.
come back.
I don't-
You knew the policy was 45. That's what we've been doing.
That's what we've been doing for years,
I
so
know.
we
So
did.
we went over that, so we can't stop it with her.
Well,
I mean, that'd be consistent in what we're gonna do.
Okay, well, make the motion, Mickey.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. I just thought, for years, it's been 45 days, but if you want to make
No, but
everybody's 100 days, it's of no consequence to me.
The council has the ability to give more time when they're considering different circumstances. Or less time, that's correct. So, Councilman Mickens, would you like to make a motion for 60 days?
I make a motion to give her 45 days.
We have a motion by Councilman Green for 45 days. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Councilman Beard. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-1.
Ms.
Thank you,
Walton,
ma'am.
if you do run out of time and you're not done, please don't forget to ask for more.
And come back, ma'am. Thank you.
All I'm saying is, be consistent. That's all I'm saying.
I favor that
Be
idea
consistent.
myself. I agree with that.
I'm not talking to the council now, be consistent.
Okay, well, you should have made the motion.
No, just be consistent.
Okay, let's
Can't
let's
get
come back to
around
order,
consistent.
council. We understand.
You can't get around consistent, man. I'm just saying, be fair and consistent, that's all I'm saying.
Let's come back to meeting, please. Council.
Next is case number, the rest of the cases on the docket are all requests by Ms. James, as I understand it, to be immediately abated. First is case number 20-0054, Carolyn McKinney et al., 4th Avenue North, Carolyn McKinney. Next is case number 21-0107, Walter and Ethel James, 22nd Street South, Walter and Ethel James. Next is case number 21-0234, Hattie Colvin, 1305 9th Avenue North, Hattie Colvin. Next is case number 21-0237, Dennis Floyd, 1517 10th Avenue North, Dennis Floyd. Next is case number 21-0243, Christopher L. Clinton, 214 19th Street South, Christopher L. Clinton. And lastly is case number 21-0265, cross-regional funding. I take that back. Let's do cross-regional funding separately. That's all the ones, I believe, Ms. James, where you're asking for immediate abatement. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So move.
We have a motion by Councilman Beard and a second by Councilman Jones. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
The last case on your docket is case number 21-0265, cross-regional funding LP, 133 Maple Street. This one, I believe, has been remediated by the owner, and you're asking for an order of reentry, Ms. James, correct?
Do I have a motion? Was there a motion?
Second.
Councilwoman DeChico made the motion, seconded by Councilman Beard. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, council. Okay, we need to discuss and approve the final summary charge order in the amount of $8,410.04 for Columbus Lowndes County Airport's CLCA North and South Apron Pavement project.
So move.
We have Mr. Stafford here if there's any questions. We have a motion by Councilman Beard. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Councilman Green. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. We need to discuss and approve the lowest quote in the amount of $10,500. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me move back up to G. Discuss, approve of Murphy's Paving's second and final payment request in the amount of $40,676.74 for CLCA's North and South Apron Pavement Rehabilitation Project.
So move.
We have a motion by Councilman Beard. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Green. Any discussion? All approved, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. We need to discuss and approve lowest quote in the amount of $10,500 for Highway 45 drainage repairs, Krispy Kreme. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Beard and a second by Councilwoman Stewart. All in favor, please raise your right hand. After any discussion, you already raised your right hands. Great, thank you. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Stafford. And you were right on time tonight. Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you. We need to discuss and approve the upcoming rental assistance fair to be held in early September at the Trotter Convention Center. Mr. Dillon.
Mayor, council, first of all, I apologize for the audio problems we've had tonight. We work a long time to make this work smoothly, and sometimes things break, so I send our apologies to the council and the mayor and to our viewers. We'll make the repairs and be better.
Thank you.
We want to discuss a rental assistance fair. Mr. Brooks is here too. I'm going to call on him in just a moment, but what we're going to do, Mayor and council, with your permission, is we will hold a rental assistance fair that will allow residents to come to a central location to put in an application for assistance with rent and or utility bills that they might be behind on. These are renters only. It's a wonderful program through the state, through the Mississippi Home Corp. We've had many conversations with them, and in the past they were touring the state and giving these fairs in person. Well, now because of COVID coming back, they've stopped this, and the last one they're going to do is this weekend in Aberdeen, and Mr. Brooks is going to talk a little bit about it for people that can attend that one to get in the system. But what we want to do is we want to host our own rental assistance fair. It'll be a lot, Mayor, like we did with the Disaster Assistance Center after the tornado. Be a one-stop shop. And Councilman Jones had a great idea that we could do this at the Sim Scott building, the new Sim Scott building. It has the computers that we need. It has the space that we need. And then also possibly even do another one at the Townsend Center if needed. And these seem like they would be a closer location too for a lot of people other than the Trotter. And since the internet and everything is there, we're going to Aberdeen on Friday and Saturday this week to receive training on how to do the program, and we would staff it with volunteers. We plan to do it with about 8 to 10 stations. So what would happen is someone would come in, we would tell what paperwork they would need to bring, and then we could get them assistance. And the assistance is paid directly to the utilities or to the landlords, and so that way it helps the persons catch up on their rent up to 15 months on it. So I would just ask your permission to proceed on that.
So moved.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilman Mickens and a second by Councilman Beard. Do we have any more discussion? Councilman Jones?
The reason why I suggested those places is because they have computers, because he was talking about buying
Right.
computers or, for the trotter to have it. So I suggested
Yes.
those places because they have computers already.
It's a great idea.
Very good suggestion.
Yes, sir.
Councilwoman Stewart?
Mr. Dill, I have a question for you. When the renter cannot pay their rent and then the landlord is in distress because they do not receive the money, is there assistance out there for landlord?
As long as the renter comes forward and applies for it, because we asked the same question, the landlords can't apply directly, but they can work with the renter to do that. And one of the things too that we'll be doing is, like, for example, when somebody applies for rental assistance, we have to get a 1099 and some other information from the landlord. And we're going to, once we know a date, we're going to really heavily promote this to, we're going to even talk to all the landlords that we can reach to say, hey, encourage your renters to come and apply for this, because it's up to 15 months. They'll also pay late utility bills to Columbus Light and Water, to Atmos Energy, and anything like that, any utilities like that. And it can be from anywhere from 1 to 15 months, but it's an outstanding program. And just to be clear too, Mayor, it doesn't apply to homeowners. It's rental only.
So we have people that could go 15 months without paying their utility bill?
Well,
And it be on?
since we had the not the embargo, what was it called? Where we moratorium. Moratorium. On Thank you. eviction. On the eviction moratorium, there are some people that are still very far behind, and then there's some landlords that have been very forgiving about it. So people at Mississippi Home Corp told me that yes, they've paid several that have been a full 15 months.
I do believe earlier in the year they did have a program for landlords first.
Right. Yes, sir.
With this approval, this is the Trotter, this is Townsend, and this is Simscott?
Yes, sir. What we would do is, once we determine from our visit, our training on Friday and Saturday, how much room we need, but I really believe that Simscott would be perfect. It's plenty big enough, we can spread people out, and I believe in between there and Townsend, we shouldn't have to go to the Trotter. Don't you agree?
Did you get in touch with Mr. Collins? Would he be here? Tim Collins from Jackson, Mississippi?
Yes, sir.
He's head of that program down there.
Yes, sir.
So make sure he's gonna be here.
Yes, sir. They're going to be in
explaining everything.
Aberdeen, and they're going to train us, and then they will send a representative to work with us at ours. But instead of sending their staff, we're going to do it with our volunteers. But we did the same thing at the tornado. It worked great with Red Cross and with FEMA and MEMA and SBA. So we're confident we can make it work.
And the main idea for this too is just to make as many people as possible aware of it. It's my understanding that this money has been available, but there were a lot of people that were not aware of how
Yes,
to
sir.
apply.
It became available in late March and April, and it's been hit real heavily in the Hines County, Jackson area. And they were running their own program, and the reason they're running their own program is because they received a special permission from the state. But ours will still be run through. But before I conclude, Mayor, I'd like to let Mr. Brooks, he's
Sure.
got some information about the Aberdeen one, and so
Great.
we can
Yes.
apply through there too.
Supervisor Brooks?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Didn't really come to be on the agenda thing, but Joe had called me earlier, and I just wanted to be here to make sure. And I've got,
Welcome to the other side.
thank
Glad you're
you,
here.
thank you. Yeah, pass those. Let me say, Mayor and member of council, that there's one thing I do want to say before I talk about this, is that I'm not sure all of you all know, but the Board of Supervisors agreed on the other day to allow our equipment to come in and work with you all. And I understand from Ronnie this morning that they're going to come in on Thursday. I think they're going to send 4 boom trucks over here to try and help
Yes.
get it cleaned up. So I think that's indicative of our ability to work together. And cleaning up the city is important to me. I think it is to all of us. Hall Bryant, who's the senator from Amory, called me on Friday and asked me to try and facilitate getting information out for this rental utility assistant fair in Aberdeen. He said that it was unfortunate that the home corporation could not set up in Columbus and other places, but they thought that Aberdeen was a centralized place in terms of Oklahoma, Tupelo, and other places. So I readily agreed to help do this. These flyers came from Senator Angela Turner Ford from over in Clay County. And so I've been trying to get some of these out. As a matter of fact, in a few minutes, I'm going to do a Facebook Live just to present the information here. Now, one of the things I note that you all set it up for September. If you go back and read Commercial Dispatch today, there's an editorial in there, I think from the Macomb paper, that suggests that if 65% of this money is not spent by September, they're going to reallocate it to other states. And so in setting your dates, you need to take that in consideration, that the problems with the distribution of this money was they did not have the computer infrastructure nor manpower. It got bottlenecked. You know, you read the numbers, some say 186 million, some say 180 million. It's a lot of money to try and distribute. And so that's where we are. So my only participation is to try and get the word out to as many people in Columbus and Lowndes County that they will go up to Aberdeen on Saturday to apply. Actually, we talk about landlords, the money will go to the landlords. You know, if you're a tenant, the check will not be yours, it'll go to the landlord. I don't know what the time frame is. I'm not here to get into all that, other than to say for people that may be watching and tuning in, that you would share with other people that if you are in this situation as a tenant, that Friday from 4:30 to 6 p.m., you can go to the gym in Aberdeen, and of course on Saturday from 9:30 to 2 p.m. And they'll help you do the application and work with you. So again, my only job is to try and help facilitate the information in our community.
Can they go online and do it themselves? Or
They can, but from everything I've found, it's kind of a difficult task. They do have a website, and one of the things, according to the director of the Home Corps, that what they did, they turned this money, this operation over to a law firm in Jackson. I don't know which one, but I would speculate. And they've had a hard time getting on the website, or they said that so much of the information on these applications was wrong, that they're not being filled out properly. So that's the reason this is so important on Saturday, that you'll actually have someone there to walk you through the steps. They're telling you what documentation to bring. So as many people, not to diminish what you want to do here, but let's first come, first serve. Let's try to get this taken care of. Sure. And so that's what I'm trying to do. Any other questions?
So, Mr. Brooks, you said if this money is not spent by September, it would be reallocated
65%, according to, if you go back and pull the Commercial Dispatch today, there's an article, I think, from the Macomb newspaper that explains what the problem was according to the director. But it says that if 65% of this $180 million is not spent by September, it will be reallocated, and I think I quote, to states that can better distribute the money. And let me say this as just Leroy Brooks' personal opinion. There's a lot of money flowing into this state, and seemingly there's a problem with handling it. You know, I guess one of us would take it and just do whatever. But it's so much money flowing into the state from so many different sources that they don't have the computer infrastructure or manpower, and it's just getting bottlenecked. And so we need to try and help facilitate spending this money, especially to people that really need the help.
Do you feel like it would be imperative then that, since you're saying that deadline coming up within what, a week or so, about 10 days from now, you get many people up there as you can?
We need to, is what I would encourage you is people that you know now whether it be landlords or just people you know that are tenants, the next couple of days is to encourage them to go up there. Again, quick as I leave here, I'm going to do a Facebook Live. I have access to some minimum amount of money that I'm prepared to just run some radio spots just for the sake of encouraging people to go. This is very important. And I'm really talking to the people that may be tuning in, that when we get a chance to get assistance and you need it, let's use it. We don't want to be fraudulent, but if it's there, we want to use it. And I think many people did not know about this. So that's what we're going to be trying to do in the next few days.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
Any other discussion? Remind me, did we have a motion to approve this in a second? Okay.
Yes.
Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Brooks. And we did mention earlier, and I don't mind saying again, because it's a wonderful thing that the county is helping us with the pickup in the city. We definitely, for those of you who are just tuning in and didn't know that, that is good news for the city and for the county. Okay, at this time, I would like to request a motion to enter into closed determination upon the issue of whether or not to declare an executive session. Have a motion by Councilman Beard and a second by Councilwoman Stewart. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. At this time, we will ask, is this the time we ask folks to leave so we can go into executive session?